Hello YouTube, CivilianSnowman here, and today I'm going to review Gamer, the new action movie starring Gerard, Butler, Michael C. Hall, and directed by Neveldine and Taylor, the guys who brought us such films as Crank, Crank 2 High Voltage, and they also wrote the little scene psychological thriller called Pathology. The plot is one we've seen recycled a million times before, so I'll just give a brief description of what it is. Basically, a multi-billionaire called Ken Castle, played by Michael C. Hall from Dexter fame, creates an online multiplayer game where people can control real human beings in like a deathmatch environment, and the people who actually do the shooting and killing who are being controlled are death row inmates who are given the opportunity to not escape from prison, but to be freed from prison if they win like 30 games. So there it's like basically the same plot as Death Race, but with guns instead of cars. Gerard Butler plays Cable, which is one of the Slayers, who is nearing the end of his run. He's nearly won 30 games, he's nearly going to be set free, and with a film like this you know that it's not going to go right for him. There are a couple of things I want to say right off the bat, and that is that one, I know how bad this film is, but two, I really enjoyed it. And it's a bit of a weird film because it actually has moments of brilliance in it, and they are really few and far between. But I'll get onto those in a bit. But first of all, like, what's wrong with the movie? Well, as I said, the plot is shit that we've seen 1,000 times before, so you just can't engage with it. And the directors, Neveldine and Taylor, they really don't care about character development or plot or any of that. And that kind of worked for the Crank movies, which were just, they were made with no other intention than to be just batshit crazy. But with Gamer, a film that feels a little bit more mainstream, it feels like it should have some sort of character development in it. The directors are good, they have a very distinct visual style and aesthetic, but the scripts aren't up to scratch. And if this had been written by someone who could actually kind of wedge a story into an action film, it could have been a much better movie. One thing that disappointed me in this was the action scenes themselves. I actually think they were some of the weaker points of the movie. Over the last few years, people have been complaining about the quick-cut, shaky cam kind of action scenes, and I've never really had a problem with it. I've never really complained. You know, people say that the Jason Bourne movies are too quickly cut, and etc, etc, and I just never thought that was the case. However, with Gamer, that's just like Paul Greengrass on acid. I mean, you cannot get a grasp on anything that's happening during one of the action scenes. It's just ridiculous. The camera glitches during the action scenes, and it'll like pause and break up and then go back and stuff, and that would have been good a couple of times, but they overuse it. They wanted to make it feel like a video game, and anybody who is a gamer, and I guess you could say that I'm a gamer because I play on games like Call of Duty and Halo and all that. I would compare this film to playing Halo. Anybody who plays on those kinds of games will know the feeling that they were going for. It just didn't quite work in a movie. I could sit here for hours and tell you everything that's wrong with this movie, but I want to tell you about those brilliant moments that kind of are scattered throughout the film that just, they do make it worth the price of admission. And starting with the use of Marilyn Manson's cover of Sweet Dreams that opens the movie. And you get scenes of like this Slayer game marketing all over the world, even on the sides of the pyramids, and I quite like, that's as close as it comes to becoming a satire, that, you know, what are we prepared to watch, and how advertising kinds of literally rules the world now. So yeah, I mean, it's not a smart movie by any stretch of the imagination, but it does kind of flirt with the idea of satire. Another scene that I really liked was during another game, not the Slayers one where they kill each other, but a game called Society, also created by Ken Castle, played by Michael C. Hall, and it's basically The Sims, and people just walk around being controlled by other people, etc, and meet and have sex and all that stuff. But there's a scene where the camera swoops through this like Sim City type of environment, and the song that's playing over it is The Bad Touch by the Bloodhound Gang, and anybody who's heard that song knows how just really funny and brilliant and catchy the song is, and it really makes the scene feel energetic and all of that stuff. It really pulls you in. Another scene I thought was brilliant that I haven't actually seen before is a shootout that takes place in a nightclub, and because in this nightclub there are UV lights everywhere, the blood appears bright white when people get hit, and I thought that was a very, very cool stylistic choice, and I really can't remember seeing it anywhere else, but it was really kind of original. The standout moment for me and my favourite scene in the film is when Gerard Butler's character Cable goes to Ken Castle's mansion, whatever you want to call it, for a final like boss battle, if you want to call that. I think it's appropriate given the title of the film. And it starts off with a dance number. There's Michael C. Hall stood with his henchmen, like rows of henchmen on either side of him. They're all clicking the fingers. Michael C. Hall starts doing this weird dance like a puppet and starts miming Frank Sinatra's I've Got You Under My Skin song. Brilliant. I mean, you know, you have an action movie like this which is just really crazy from the beginning, and you throw a dance number in at the end. I thought it was fantastic. Anyway, I thought there needed to be more of that stuff. Michael C. Hall really does make the film worth watching. So those are the scenes I really liked, and now to the main problems with the movie. In between those scenes it's really bland and boring and not much happens, seriously. The action scenes I thought were bland and boring. They just weren't very well edited or shot or executed, but they did have moments in there that, you know, kind of that would entertain you. And it's just stuff like that, and the plot feels really undercooked. I mean, Cable, the character played by Gerard Butler, is a superstar. Everybody loves him. But if he's being controlled by some 17-year-old wetbag, why wouldn't the kid be the superstar? Because he's the one who's really kind of doing the slaying, he's making the choices, he's playing the game, so why wouldn't he be the superstar? And it just feels like Neveldine Taylor set up a universe that could be really interesting and just never follow through with it. It feels really undercooked. I would only recommend this to people who do play video games, because that is the target audience. If you're like a general kind of moviegoer, don't go see it because you probably won't like it. But there is stuff in there for gamers, such as during an action scene, somebody teabags a dead body, which anybody who plays Halo will know what that means, and just stuff like that. So it's really made for gamers, so I would only really recommend it to gamers. Anyway, I'm going to give Gamer, I'd say 3 stars, right? The reason it gets 3 is Michael C. Hall, right? And those scenes I mentioned earlier that I thought were really good. If Michael C. Hall wasn't in it, I would give it 2 stars easily. But the fact that he's in it and he brings some much needed personality to it, and he's the focus point of the best scene in the movie and stuff, I'd say it just notches it up to 3. I hope you've enjoyed this review. This is CivilianSnowman signing out. I'll see you later. Bye.